distant future. I know we got some people here that are running, have announced if they're going to run. Would you stand if you are currently a candidate for an office?
I think y'all stepped outside.
Did they all leave?
Someone did.
Well, I see one sitting here at least. Okay.
Yeah. He goes, I said that.
Okay. All right. Go ahead and just say a couple of words there. Start, Teresa.
I'm Teresa Drum. I'm the judge of the 294th District Court, and I'm up for re-elect. And so I'm going to be running.
Larry.
I'm Terry Pruitt. I'm currently your county treasurer, and I'm going to be running for my position.
Okay.
And I'm Pam Ehrman. I work at Judge Drum. I worked in the county for 20 years, and I'm going to run for county clerk.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? All right. Thank you. Okay. Now, what we need to do is, as we started out talking about, is it is up to us who gets in office, and it's going to matter what we do. So we need to start getting organized. Now, I know, does everybody here know where they live? Anybody here doesn't know where they live?
No, but I've got it on GPS.
Okay.
My GPS.
What I like to do is start getting organized by precincts. I've got a map up here for those of you who don't know where you live. There's a map. And our county is organized into basically, I think we got 16 precincts. We say 4, but it's really subdivided for each one of them. And each one is like in precinct 1, there's A, B, C, and D. That's further divided. And that's where you vote. And that's how we need to be organized to help the candidates that we decide meet the criteria for being the most conservative in any particular race. And that's the direction that we plan to go in, is to have forums and have the candidates spend more time talking to the people. But we need to be organized in getting the vote out. And for those of you who would be willing to help get your neighborhood and your precinct organized, like our friends over in Kaufman County, they now have a Tea Party member is precinct chairman of every precinct in Kaufman County. And they're going to soon have the county chairman coming out of the Tea Party. Their current county chairman is in the Tea Party, but he was the chairman before he was. Now the chairman looks like he's going to come right out of the Tea Party. So they are active in getting their turnout over there, and that's what we're going to have to do, is work to get our turnout here. So I've got the registration form here. I'd like to pass that around, and for those of you who would be willing to work in the election to help get conservatives elected, please put your name and your precinct. If you don't know your precinct, don't be embarrassed. Just come up here and find your house, roughly where you live, and then just write the number on there. And if you miss that, go home and look at your voter registration card if you didn't bring it with you, and then send me an email. I'd like to pass that around, because if we don't get more people involved, nothing is going to happen. How many people are here that were at the sine wave? How many of you? Oh, all right. Very good. Well, we had over 30 people show up. Let me show you what that looks like, I think.
Cool.
2013, some 30-plus patriots gathered at the intersection of I-20 and 19 in Canton, Texas, to show their disgust and contempt for the outrageous events that have been taking place with the Obama administration. This demonstration was done in conjunction with Tea Party groups throughout Texas and the United States. It's expected that these demonstrations will continue until Obama is removed from office.
We did this demonstration between 11 and 12 o'clock. The ones in Kaufman were held twice a day, between 7 and 8 and between 5 and 6. Other places held them at different times. What we're planning to do is probably have one of these a month. And
We need more.
Huh?
We need more.
Or
We need
more.
them soon for crews and defunding Obamacare.
Okay.
That's what it's got to take.
We can get, people will get together, that's fine with me. If we could do it more often, every 2 weeks, or once a week is fine. What's been suggested, we get together, this was neat. This couple heard about this from a friend in Austin and drove up from Log Cabin and made some signs out of some barn wood. And I'd say they were probably about 22, 23 years old. And that's what we have to do, is stop his agenda. Get him out of office, get him impeached. That's probably a bit of a stretch,
That ain't gonna happen.
but if we can just stop the new stuff, it will be worth the effort.
Is that clip on YouTube?
No.
And if not, it needs to be.
Okay, no,
So we
I
can-
just put this together.
Well,
So
upload it to YouTube and let people see it.
we will. Okay, how many of you would like to get together, have a sign making one night, have maybe a potluck dinner and make up some signs, and then the next day go out and participate. All right, I'll put out an email, and we'll get one going here within the next 2 weeks, hopefully.
Bob, let me make
Or
a
sooner.
couple of suggestions.
Yeah,
You're talking about signs. We need big signs.
yeah, we need to
Those
we learned
signs
that
can't
bigger,
be read from the house.
right?
Cost money.
I understand that.
How much does a billboard cost?
I don't
All
know.
we need is a billboard.
But if we can get together and make them, and another thing is, we have a lot of conservative ideas and things to work on, but we need to limit this to one idea. People going down the road distract from different topics.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, the point is that we had many signs. Some of them were too small to be seen. That 2 or 3 really big signs, and the expense is having the sign made. The materials are not that expensive. We can get the banner material, and I'm sure we've got some artsy people here that can write "I'll peach and Obama" so it's readable, or "Throw the bum out" or something like that, and have 2 or 3 banners on poles where we got maybe 3 people holding up one sign to get their attention and some colors. Yeah.
I'm going to see Bill Gallagher in Maybank. He's been to a few parts of these, and he has a print shop. I'm going to see him. I dropped by there that day before I got home.
Any contribution like that, we'd be glad to welcome. Mary Lou?
We picked up some poster boards. It's huge. At the feed store, they have this poster board between each pallet. And some of it's kind of bent in the shape of the board, but that gives you a place to write. I mean, it gives you a line to write, and you smooth it out. Some of it is, it's really good. And also, he said print shop. We went to a print shop and got a roll of paper. It's this white paper. Well, we took up signs last year, like we have Leo Barman signs, some of them huge. And we took that paper and graphed those old campaign signs, and you make your poster on that. And I think the homemade posters are more effective than some that you have made at the print shop.
Absolutely, no question. That's what I'm talking about, is getting material ideas like that, the materials, and get together, and
But the fewer words that you have on there, the more it jumps out. Because if you put a lot of words, it's all crowded and they don't have time to read it. It's too jumbled.
Bob,
yes.
I agree with this gentleman. The impeach Obama is not going to go anyplace,
What
okay,
about
other than make,
stop Obama?
None of
We
them
gotta
are.
go with Cruz.
You've gotta go with.
Cruz and
you've
what he's
gotta go
trying to do with defund.
Defund Obamacare.
Right.
2 words, defund Obamacare, and it has to be a big, big sign.
Or
okay?
impeach Obamacare.
Well, whatever,
Yeah.
either way, but you need to, because you've got to show the support for Ted Cruz, okay?
Right.
'Cause
And-
he's
and
gonna be
Mike
the
Lee-
lead
and
on
Mike
this
Lee,
whole thing.
And Mike Lee,
Right.
okay?
Right.
Okay. Randy,
Did you have to get any kind of permit?
Thank you for your
no,
support.
no, we have a blanket permit from the Department of Transportation. I have a copy of it. They put it out, we're on DOT land doing it.
In another county, it's still holding.
That's right. That applies across the state. Because that's just one of our immediate ones. We have issues here in the state. For those of you that, the good news, let me get to that and cover it, is on C-Scope. There was a press conference today, and unfortunately I didn't get the results of it, but I do know it was around the court decision that came down on Friday. The people in Llano County sued the Llano ISD to stop C-Scope, and the judge gave them an injunction to stop it. So that is a major step forward. That doesn't mean it's not gone away,
Right.
but at least now we're going to hearing in court to see if the school districts can circumvent the state in implementing C-Scope and Common Core standards. Because we've got Common Core coming in directly to the schools. What's happening is the federal government is going directly to the ISDs and offering them money to take Common Core standards. And believe me, folks, it is every bit as bad as C-Scope or worse. It is true communist indoctrination of our kids. No question about it. For those of you who weren't at the C-Scope conference we had, we're going to have another session on the educational system. We've got a forum coming up a little later this fall. It's going to be up in Mount Pleasant, and I'm going to try to get another one going here in Canton sometime this fall to bring people up to speed on what is happening and what we can do about it. But until we here in Van Zandt County pick it up ourselves and go to the school districts with enough emphasis, it's going to stay. We've got it in most of the school districts. It's not in Van and it's not in Canton. As far as I know, it's in all the rest of them, and they do not intend to get rid of it.
Mr. Hall,
Yes.
I did call just recently, perhaps about a month ago, right at the end of school, and spoke with someone at the Quinlan Independent School District, and they are going to teach, quote unquote, C-Scope. And I said, well, are you actually going to teach the C-Scope? And I was told, well, if you want to see what the curriculum's going to be, you can go to that window. I said, so you are or you are not? And I could never get a straight answer.
You won't get a straight answer from them,
But in
and
sidestepping.
and the problem the real problem lies in the assessments and the curriculum. It's not, the lessons are bad enough. Yes, what he described, the lessons are bad, but the assessments and the data mining that they're doing, and this is the big problem, is that when they give these tests, they are at least 50% subjective answers. That is, there are no right or wrong answers. This is subjective answers. All of those answers are going into a database, and that is starting in what they now have, what they call K-20, PK-20,
Yep.
pre-kindergarten through graduate school.
Yep.
Here in all the states, that all of these tests and all the results go into a database so that child is tracked from pre-kindergarten all the way through graduate school, and they can assess along the way what their leaning is from the instruction they're getting. And they can then recommend courses that they're to take so that if the person is leaning too far to the right, they can get them in a little stronger course to pull them back to the left. That's what the purpose of it is. That is what's so bad. And when they talk about, oh, we're just keeping the curriculum, we need the curriculum, no. It's the assessments and the curriculum is what is so bad. And with that, they have what is called PBL, project-based learning. Have you ever heard of that before? This is where the kids teach themselves. the short version of it is they put the kids in what they call a project, and they assign them a question, and they are to come up with an answer that the group gets a grade on. Now, listen to that. The group gets a grade based on the answer that the group gives. Now, it doesn't matter if only one of the children in there did all the research and all the work and came up with the answer, and the rest of them did nothing, or only one did nothing, or whatever it is. They all get the grade. Does that sound like redistribution of the wealth? Yes. Well, that's exactly what it is. It is a training program to make redistribution of wealth an acceptable thing. And they're doing it with our children. And the problem is they're not taught. As an example, one of them that I read recently was they give them the question of the Second Amendment. And the question they'll tell them, is the Second Amendment an individual right, or is that a collective right? And they debate it, and they come up with their answer describing it with no input from the teacher. They have to research it and come up with it. Instead of being taught what our founding fathers believed and what the philosophies and the philosophies behind the classics and things like that of teaching children, they've got them off doing what they call critical thinking at a very young age. Now, critical thinking is a good thing when you have enough knowledge to be able to critically think. It's not a way to form. But I didn't want to get this off into a C-scope. But the good news is we may have a crack in that, but we've got to get some pressure on the school districts here to have an effect locally.
Two quick things. That record keeping on peak 20 is only 1/4 of it or less. You got the NSA, the IRS, and the Obamacare. They're going to be keeping records on everybody under every realm, and it's just a part of the big puzzle.
Absolutely.
And the other thing is on the Lano thing. Did that also include scope and sequence or just curriculum?
I've told you more than I know already.
Okay.
But I'll get it out. I mean, as soon as I find it, because this just happened. Ben?
The long-term goal is to abolish the Department of Education. Article 2, Section 8 defines the powers of Congress, and in no place will you find where Congress is authorized to spend any money on education. It's the responsibility of the states.
Absolutely, but unfortunately we have that is just one of many that they totally ignore the Constitution on. Here in this state, though, it's getting late here. I just want a couple more points for you to be thinking about. Does everybody realize that we just had to go through 3 special sessions on top of a regular session to get done what could have been done in the first half of the general session? We spent millions and millions and millions of dollars down there for legislation. And this last time around, they came up with 2 bills that you're going to get to vote on in November. And we're going to talk about them in detail. One is transportation, and the other is a water bill. And both are very serious subjects. We do have a transportation problem here in Texas. We do have road problems. It's how you solve that that's gone askew in what they pass. They're going to come in. We're going to have our legislatures come here and tell us how proud they are of what they passed. Well, they increased spending 26%. Think about that, 26% increase in spending. We are spending our children and our grandchildren's money. We now exceed, on a per capita basis here in Texas, we exceed the personal debt of those in Michigan. Think about that.
Yeah.
We also exceed that of those in California. So those who think Texas is well off financially, you need to think again. The Texas debt is greater than the post office between state and local debt. Right here in Van Zandt County, we are in excess of $10 million in debt. And that is with no bonds for building or anything like that. It is pure spending more than taking in. We have been deficit spending for 5 years and raising taxes every year. And we're not alone here in Van Zandt County. Other counties are doing a similar thing. There's no real control on spending. and it's a disease down in Austin that is gone. It's out of control. And the only way it's going to get fixed is like what Tom Hawkins said, is we've got to stop sending the people down there who come back and tell us they're conservative. They'll talk about gun rights. They'll talk about being pro-life. And they'll go down there and vote for every spending bill that comes along. They can't wait. If they could vote twice, they'd vote twice for it. They're so happy about it.
Well, when you're vetting a candidate, how do you determine what's the criteria for being conservative?
The best way to vet the incumbents is to look at their record. Go back and look at what they actually voted for. And we're going to have information on all the incumbents and how they voted and what they did. That's the other side is you have to look at what have they been doing. Talk to people. See, we don't pay enough attention. We don't have enough people that actually go to meetings like this and listen to questions, talk to candidates and ask them questions, or call them and ask them questions. And talk to people who know them. What did they do in business? How did they handle themselves in business? I don't care if they showed up with the church every Sunday, but how did they handle themselves in business, and what did they do? But for the incumbents, look at their voting record. Look at how they voted in committee. What did they do? What did they support, and what did they oppose?
Doesn't have a conservative candidate or a conservative incumbent in the whole House.
No, we have got that's where we have a serious problem. The Democrat, I don't know why they've got Battleground Texas going on, because the Democrats couldn't be more effective than they have the last two sessions in the legislature that's been passed. Particularly with Joe Strauss in the House, and every representative down there, on bended knee voting for him.
This is one of the problems I have. Is we vet these new big people who are going to come in. They say they're conservative. They're going to do all this good stuff when they get down there, and then as soon as the checks are handed out by the lobbyists, we've lost them.
That is one of the things that like Tom said, I was opposed to term limits before I was in favor of them, and I was opposed to them because I know that once we have term limits, the people say, "Oh, they're elected for we'll forget about it," and they'll be down there for the full term, and it just means they'll start doing evil deeds sooner. That was my thinking on it. Instead of we the people inflicting term limits on them by going in and paying attention to what they do and voting them out of office.
Bob,
but what we have in reality is we aren't going to get enough people to pay attention to what's going on. And the problem is we do have people who do have good intentions. And they go down there with the good intentions, but once they wallow around in that cesspool down there, they just have to start stinking after a while. And so putting term limits on them is probably not a bad idea.
Bob, the best way to check their records is a site called votesmart.org. And it has all the special interest groups across the United States. There are something like 157 of them. And they rate every candidate. So if you're liberal, you can find a liberal to vote for. If you're a conservative, you can find a conservative to vote for.
What is that again?
Votesmart.org. And the two that I look at are Heritage Foundation and Eagle Forum. And if they get a high rating from those people, then you can count on them. And then you can also track their ratings over time, because you can see some of those guys sliding with that lobbyist money, and they get a little squishy.
We're trying to put together and get out the ratings. Young Conservatives do a real good assessment. Empower Texans, Texans Fiscal Responsibility do a very good one. Americans for Prosperity, Eagle Forum, and there are a couple others. And they will give you, they pick key votes, and then they'll give you rationale about why a vote yay or nay was good or bad on that particular one and vote. Another good place you can go look there's been a study that was done by Rice University Political Science Department. Totally independent study, and their study took a look at all the votes that incumbents had made, not just cherry-picked them on a particular subject. They looked at all the votes, and they rated the House and they rated the Senate on conservatism, from the most conservative to the most liberal. and it's, you can find it on the University of Rice. I'll try to find the website and put out a link for it, along with these others, so that you can go look at it. But to try to answer, answer your question is, you've got to do more in looking at their voting record, not listening to what they talk about.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have anything they want to talk about? Because it's 8:30 and I'm going to let everybody go here. I can talk all night because we've got so much going here that needs to be done.
Okay, I have one more point.
Yes.
We need to keep stressing that there is no such thing as government entitlements or government benefits. It is all taxpayer funded. And until we hit the people, the 50% who pay taxes, over the head with this every day, that is their tax dollars, not manna from heaven, that is paying all of this stuff. And I mean, you've got to repeat it, because even when somebody says a government subsidy, a government entitlement, you don't think immediately of your tax dollars. You think immediately of somebody is dispensing this money, and it's not true. So you got to hit them over the head.
I'll tell you what hacks me off. I live on a very limited income, and I pay a tax on my cell phone bill each month, so these no goods can have free cell phones. And I pay for my own cell phone.
You're paying for many of us.
Yeah.
Okay.